Sometimes the best response is no response. Someone attacks you, says something you think is wrong, offends you, says you did something wrong. The reaction is to say, no, you're wrong. I get it. We're all aggrieved today. But step back for a minute and ask yourself, what's the worst possible thing that could happen if you say nothing? Chances are some good might happen. You might reduce tensions. Hi, I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. This is the TJ Walker Success Channel. This is the place where we talk about communication skills, how to improve your communication skills, how to boost your confidence in your communication skills. We are broadcasting live today across all major social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch, you name it, and a special broadcast stream just for our friends on TikTok. So thanks so much for joining me. Apologies, TikTok folks. We don't have you connected to our live stream. So that's why most of the time it appears I'm off looking at a teleprompter or a script. I'm not. I'm looking at my main camera here, camera 3 in our studios. If you want to see that, then come on over and join us on YouTube. I see some nice comments coming in already. You should run for president. I hope that's because you think I'm articulate and a good speaker, and not simply because I look like a certain 82-year-old current president of a major country. But either way, I'm very happy you stopped by and you joined us and you're commenting. So thanks so much. Please let us know, where are you watching from today? I'm fortunate enough to be able to have students in every single country in the world other than North Korea, at least officially. So I've got about 2 million students taking my online communication skills courses. And then we try to reach and help as many people as possible with our live stream content right here, typically on a daily basis. Thursdays are always a little bit different in that we have to break away. We have a private session for our Udemy students on our Facebook page. But I'll be with you here from 9 a.m. to 9:45 Eastern time, about another 42 minutes here. Then we break away. We have a private session for our online students. And then at 10:45 a.m. Eastern, we come back live here, and we go till 12, sometimes a little bit after 12 on Thursdays. We're having so much fun. So many people have already hopped on from TikTok. I appreciate people joining, some nice comments, people urging me to run for president. Not quite sure what that is all about, but and some people do want to talk about politics. I want to say I have political interest. I follow politics. That's not what this channel is about. I know that in pretty much any country in the world, certainly where there's a democracy, people hate an incumbent power. They hate an opponent. We're not here to talk about politics. So we're just here to focus on building your communication skills, building your confidence in your communication skills. Because one thing we can say about the internet with complete confidence is there's no shortage of places to vent about your political opinions, your views, your beefs. The whole theory behind this show is that there's really not many places where you can come, ask questions about communication skills in a live environment, and get a response, get feedback, get input from an expert who actually does this for a living and has worked with people just like you all over the globe. So that's what's different about this channel. That's what's unique. We want to keep that uniqueness, which is why we don't delve into the political debates of the day and the personalities of politicians of the day. So thanks so much for stopping by. Liquid says, oh my God, it's Matt Lauer. So yeah, that does make me chuckle because I've never been confused for Matt Lauer, but for many years, people did say I looked like Matt Lauer. For those of you in other countries, Matt Lauer was an extraordinarily high-profile, famous morning news anchor on one of the dominant networks here in the United States. And when he was young, he was considered good-looking and had thick hair. And let's just say I had a lot more hair 25, 30 years ago. Over time, he lost his hair, became grayer, I lost my hair, became grayer, and we're more or less kind of the same size. Maybe he's a little thinner than I am. But believe it or not, I have been asked to come into media trainings posing as Matt Lauer for corporate trainings for that very reason. So the comparison has been a benefit to me. Now, the downside is several years ago in the whole Me Too movement, he was caught in all sorts of allegations of severely inappropriate contact with women in the office place, fired. For a while was in exile on the other side of the country and has never really rehabilitated himself. So being associated with him now doesn't really do me any good since his career is in disgrace. But thank you so much. And my colleague Ben is pointing out that if you're on TikTok and you want to join me live on screen, you can do so. You would need to come over to my YouTube channel. There you can do with one click, come on StreamYard, and you can talk to us. So as always, we take your questions about any aspect of communication, public speaking, presentation skills, PowerPoint, and we answer questions live. We also do shows within shows. This is my workshop where I share with you how a content creator actually creates content. So I'm going to do that right now. I open the show today doing a short form video on a topic that I've been thinking about a lot lately, which is so often the best response is to simply not respond in the media, social media, even face-to-face when someone is attacking it. So I'm going to hit record on our master switch to capture 4K. I'm going to switch to camera 1. I'll try to move this over so our friends on TikTok can see this. I am stepping off camera 1 second because I just wanted to adjust my suit and tie and didn't want to do that in front of you. Okay, so apologies, TikTok. I don't have it framed perfectly for you. But if you do want to see it on our studio and what it looks like and how it should look, come on over to the YouTube channel. So I'm going to do this as a long form video. Ask yourself this: what is the worst thing that would happen if you simply didn't respond? We live in an era where everyone is aggrieved. Everyone feels like a victim. I feel like a victim. Everyone feels like they are uniquely persecuted, and we're all quick to call out someone. And some of that is a good thing. There are legitimate victims in the world. There is wrongdoing. But I urge you, and I urge myself, stop a minute and think. Is this something I have to respond to? Because the one thing I can guarantee you is somebody somewhere on the internet is going to be wrong. And if you take it upon yourself to correct everyone who's wrong, you won't have a life. You'll be miserable. You'll have no sleep. You'll be in a constant state of agitation. Now, no one likes to be criticized, and nobody likes to be criticized unfairly. I'm no different from you. But you have to ask yourself, if one person who has one follower on some social media account has a criticism of you and you don't think it's valid, what's the worst thing that could happen if you didn't respond, if you didn't take them apart, if you didn't tell them they were foolish or wrong-headed or don't know their facts? What's the worst thing that could happen? Probably nothing. Now, in the olden days, when I was coming up dealing with the media, 70s, 80s, if you're criticized in the media, it was typically from a major network, a major newspaper, the dominant newspaper in your town. Everyone could see it. You would need to respond. But these days, when every single person on the planet with a cell phone is a media publisher, you can really run yourself ragged responding to every single piece of criticism. And sometimes you make things worse. By responding, you put the spotlight on the criticism. You give more credibility to it. Other people can weigh in. It turns into a whole confrontation and conflagration. Don't do that. Sometimes the best response is silence. And if you really want to get back at your enemies, sometimes the best way of getting back is not responding. They want you to respond. They want you to get angry. Nothing angers certain people as much as you being silent, because you're showing them that they are not even worthy of your time. They're not even worthy of a critique. That's often the biggest insult you can give. It's often the best insult you can give. If someone criticizes you and they have lots of legitimate points, they're dealing with facts, they're bringing up principles and operating on good faith, and you share a number of the principles and you recognize the facts they're using to make their case are legitimate, of course you can respond. By all means, respond. Be a part of the conversation. But you've got to be selective in what conversations you want to be a part of. Every time you respond to an attack, you're starting a new conversation. Every time you attack someone else, you are creating a new conversation. Now, everyone from Warren Buffett to Steve Jobs says the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. They say no to anything that isn't truly central to their core mission. I would ask you to do this for your own communication. Ask yourself, if I get involved in this debate, is this really central to my mission of helping people with whatever it is you do? Or is it just a matter of my vanity, my pride? Someone said, my hair doesn't look good, or they don't like my nose, and I can see their picture and they don't look good either. Guess what? Nobody else cares. Nobody cares what one critic on the internet looks like. Chances are nobody really cares what you look like either. So instead, I urge you, be selective. Really ask yourself, who is going to benefit from you responding to a critic? Who's really going to benefit from you pointing out somebody else is wrong, or they're bad, or they're mean, or they're stupid? I understand you might feel like you're benefiting because you're thinking, well, I showed them. Okay. And I've been guilty of that. We've all been guilty of it. No one's perfect, but I'm trying to be you to try to be better. Sometimes the best response of all to criticism, to people trying to take you down, is absolutely nothing. Okay, so I am finishing that. That's an example, not an example. That is literally a long form video. That's the rough draft for a long form video. My staff will take that, edit it, put in some B-roll, some graphics, maybe a little music, and that will be pushed out at some point next month or two across all social media. So that's what we're going to do. And that's an example of something that just came to me looking at today's news. So I'm always looking for new topics. I probably did half a dozen topics based on what just the friends on TikTok said yesterday. So TikTok, keep them coming. But if you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, I want to hear from you too. All of you can post your comments right here in the comments section. You can also just join me right on screen and share your thoughts. So, Ma, I see your vacuum. I have no idea what that means. So I do see comments. Let me scroll up, make sure I didn't miss anything. It is fascinating to see, TikTok in the news today, again in the United States, because there is a political movement to ban TikTok in the United States if the Chinese ownership, that they don't sell TikTok to an American owner. There's plenty of places for debate on that. So we're not debating that here. I'm obviously intrigued by how well TikTok does push out content, bring in new viewers. At the moment, for a while it's neck and neck, but at the moment I actually have more views on my videos on TikTok than I do on YouTube, even though I do seem to spend a lot more time on YouTube. And uh, get more traction there sometimes. So I'm not going to weigh into the debates of whether TikTok should be banned in the United States, but I do want to say if you are interested in information about how to be a better communicator and you're on TikTok and for some reason we lose access, come on over to YouTube, Facebook, or any of the other channels. It's pretty easy to find me. I am TJ Walker Success on pretty much every social media platform. So let's see if we have any other comments other than the ones about what I look like and about over political stuff. But I do appreciate you stopping by, saying hello, and taking note of things. And so one of the reasons I'll just share with you, one of the reasons I'm trying to figure out how to add TikTok into our stream that we use with StreamYard is I can then see it on my computer. I can't easily even see comments on TikTok without having to sort of walk up to my phone and do this. And it's extremely awkward to do when I'm trying to connect with everyone else. So that's one of the reasons. It's not because I dislike TikTok. Ray says, where you get your suit. Okay. This suit is made for me by a tailor in Savile Row in London. And unfortunately, on a couple pounds. That is why you see it unbuttoned right now. I wish I didn't have to reveal that, but we're revealing all here. You can see when I button it, it's pulling here. That should not be. When I am at my proper weight, there should be no sign of pulling there, and there is no sign. So that's why you see it like this. So it's not the suit maker's fault. It's my fault because I ate too much. And it's the name of the tailor is Whitcomb and Shaftesbury. They are tailors. They come over to New York every 3 months or so, and they measure people. So that's where I got the suit. One of the things about a good suit, a handmade suit, is it's very hard to go back to off the rack because everyone is a little bit different size. Very few people are the perfect size 40 regular. I think I have one arm that's maybe a quarter of an inch longer or shorter than the other, which is actually common. So that's one of the nice things about having a handmade suit. The other thing is it really gets molded to your body. This one is at least 16 years old. It may even be older. So TJ for president, make unbanned TikTok great again. Well, I appreciate those comments. And hello to and another comment on the suit. Well, we're not here to be fashion models, but unlike anyone else, I appreciate people complimenting me on my clothes and looking good. So thanks so much. I do appreciate that. And Stephanie says, whoa, that suit looks like it was just me. It's beautiful suit, no exaggeration. Well, I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. We're going to go on to the next topic, and apologize. We do have to stop early today at 10:45 Eastern time because I have to get ready for my live show just for my Udemy online students. I have students, about 2 million, who take public speaking, communication skills courses with me, and personal development courses. So that's coming up. I'm going to go to the next topic, and what I typically try to do is a long form and a short form video on each topic, but not always the same. So the next one is going to deal with listening skills, which is critically important. So I'm going to switch to camera 2. I'm going to hit record. Do you reflexively listen to someone else, or are you just waiting your turn so that you can speak? For so many of us, we're just waiting our turn, and we're not really listening to the other person. No communication takes place. Here's the thing. The other person can tell what you're doing. Okay, so that was a short form version, and that's a medium where sometimes I do it well and it gets 5,000, 10,000 views. Other times, it falls flat. It's a different medium than speaking live like this for 3 hours. It's a different medium from doing an 8 or 10 minute video. So we're constantly experimenting. I'm going to switch now and try to do that as a long form video, which ideally would be around 8 minutes long. But I don't script it out. I just try to give as much good content as I can and just don't worry about the length. And for those of you watching wondering, what am I doing? It seems choppy. I'm stopping to make it easy for my editors to figure out where to start this, where to stop it when they edit it together for a social media video. Are you reflexively listening to the person talking to you, or are you just waiting your turn so that you can speak? So many things that seem like conversations really aren't. They're just different monologues taking place. Everyone's talking past the other person. There's no real exchange of information. There's no real learning. There's no connection. There's no meeting of the minds. If you want to be a good communicator, the first thing you've got to do is realize, stop thinking about the perfect thing to say. Stop thinking about the perfect put down. Stop thinking about the perfect witty thing that's going to make everyone think you're charming. Instead, empty your mind of thought. Instead, just listen to the person. Listen to the person talking to you, whether it's a friend, a colleague, someone sitting down at the coffee shop, or in a business meeting, someone else presenting. Truly listen to them with no agenda in mind. Don't think about how you can top that. Don't think about how you can show them they're wrong. Don't stop to think about, hey, my idea is even better, because instead, just listen to them. Listen to every nuance. Look at their face. What is it they're really caring about? Look at the subtext. Listen to the words, analyze the words, but see if you can figure out, what's their real agenda? What is it they're trying to do? What are they concerned with? Then, instead of saying what you want to say that gets to your agenda, see if you can ask a question that goes deeper with what they said. See if you can have a deeper understanding of what they're discussing. Now, before you even do that, what you may want to do in a one-on-one conversation is to restate what they said and just ask, am I getting it? Am I understanding you? The person's going to respect you, like you, and feel good about this exchange. You know what else? That person is a lot more likely to listen to you when it is your turn. And trust me, eventually it will be your turn. But if you try to jump the gun, get ahead, then that person's going to resent you. Well, he didn't listen to me, I'm not going to listen to him. Now, they might not say it like that. They might not have a silly expression on their face, but subconsciously, that is how we all feel. So if you want to be listened to, if you want to be a better communicator, the first step is changing that dynamic when you are hearing someone speak, and really trying to have your mind go blank as far as your responses. Instead, focus intently on trying to understand what that person is saying. Do that, and you'll have a strong, strong foundation as a communicator. All right, so that wasn't nearly as long as I like to do for a lot of social media videos, but that is what I had to say. So I don't want to pad it and go on and on and on if I feel like I've said everything of insight that I have. And I'm just making a note that I did that. So I will take questions from you today, whether you're on TikTok, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I always take questions. We give priority to anyone brave enough, willing to push the button for StreamYard and to come right in. I share the screen. It doesn't have to be TJ all the time. And we can take a look at other people's suits as well. So feel free to join us and talk. If you don't want to come on screen and be seen, you can come on and just have your audio on, and you can ask me a question. or you can debate something I said or disagree with me. That's perfectly okay. And I'm checking now to see any other questions. I still don't know what the vacuum question was about, but I do appreciate you stopping by and saying hello. What's your opinion on something creatine and the problem with the youth? I have no idea what that is. So if you want to clarify, if it's some sort of a supplement, this is not a health show. What we are about right here is communication. Now, if you want to talk about the problem of youth, I do think there is a huge, huge problem. It's an epidemic for youth. I would highly recommend a new book by Jonathan Haidt called The Anxious Generation. He makes an extraordinarily compelling case that today's youth is, in fact, being destroyed. We've gone from a play-based childhood, the one that I went through, many of you did, where once you were out of school, your job was to go out and play outside, experiment with friends, go off in the woods, play in the playground unsupervised, to now we are living in a world where people are focused primarily on their cell phone, their iPad, their screens. And parents think, oh my gosh, I can't let little Timmy go outside. Bad people will get him. And kids are spending all their time looking down. Because of that, they lose the ability to communicate. They're not actually talking with kids. They're not having a negotiation of who gets on the seesaw first, who gets on second, who hops off first. All of these skills you learn on the playground. Skills like negotiating to say, are we going to play hide and seek? Or are we going to go in this jungle gym? Sounds trivial. It turns out those are wildly important communication skills that children have historically developed, and now they're not, because every second of the day is either supervised at school, a parent, an official after school program, or kids are staring at their phone. And I got to tell you, it is a real pet peeve of mine when I have an 11-year-old, when my family and I go out to dinner and it's a chance to actually talk to human beings, and my daughter's friends are on a cell phone. I'm like, we're here to talk to people. Can we put the cell phones away? And it makes me look like the bad guy. And I don't particularly enjoy that, but I will, in fact, do it. So here's the problem. If you spend all of your time looking at a screen, consuming content, you lose the ability to look at a human being, to read eye contact, to figure out, okay, they're finished. Now it's my turn. Oh, they seem down. Let me show empathy. You lose all of those skills, or you never build those skills in the first place. And this is one reason why many social scientists, including Jonathan Haidt, say this is why we've seen suicides skyrocket, and sometimes up 100, 200% among young girls, because of this constant staring at screens and no longer playing it. Now, it affects boys as well. That's a little bit different with them, where they get so tied into video games, they lose all contact. They're not playing outside. They're not playing with people face to face. So I am happy to talk about that particular problem. In my own family, we give very, very limited access to screens to our daughter. She does not have her own phone. She does not have her own iPad. That makes her an outlier in our community where I'm based in the United States, but so be it. I want my daughter to be an outlier in that she's much healthier than others. She has the ability to think and create and communicate, and not just passively stare at screens all day long. So if you want to elaborate on the issue, I don't know. I didn't know what the creatine was. Now I am seeing something. The world has become very dangerous. This is an interesting topic. And again, I would urge you to look at Jonathan Haidt and his book, The Anxious Generation. If you look, I can speak primarily to the United States, and certainly there's dangers in the world. There's war going on. But in the United States, for example, since 1990, basically every single year, there is more news coverage of crime. So if you ask public opinion, if you look at public opinion polls, People will tell you, oh, crime's worse this year. Crime's never been worse. It's getting worse and worse and worse. So the perception of crime has gone up. If you look at actual crime statistics, it has gone down, not every single year, but in a more or less linear fashion since 1990. A place like New York City, there were literally thousands of murders in 1990, more than 2,000 murders, and going down to 300 or so. So crime is actually lower than it's ever been in the United States, and especially in big cities. But news coverage of crime, someone gets pushed off a subway in New York City, it is going to get massive, massive, massive news play for hours, days, weeks, in a way it never would have in the 1970s, 80s, 90s. So I'm going to respectfully disagree. I understand the perception is that crime is higher. It's not. Crime is actually lower. I'll tell you where crime is up: online. Because the pedophiles and all the other bad people who used to perhaps lurk around at the schoolyard are online, because that's where the kids are. So the central thesis of this book, The Anxious Generation, is that the parents are doing it exactly the opposite of what they should be doing. They're thinking, oh, I can't let little Timmy go out to the playground by himself. He's only 16. You've got to hover over him. And instead, let him stay at home where it's safe, and he's in his bedroom. There's all sorts of pedophiles and pornography and disgusting things being pushed to him all day long on his cell phone, on his iPad. And that's where kids are getting corrupted. So, yes, there is danger, but the idea of never letting your kid go out and walk to the store, never letting your kid just go out and have unconstrained playtime, is rapidly being perceived by social scientists who study this the most as the worst possible response of trying to keep them from ever playing and being outside on their own. We have more comments coming in on TikTok. The youth simply don't care and don't want to actually learn. It's sad, and I'm only 31. Well, I'm reminded, I think it was the quote from Socrates, where he is saying, the kids today don't show respect to their elders, and they don't have an interest in learning them. Every generation thinks the generation before them is worse. And I'm not saying there's never change, but I do think that anyone can make learning interesting. And if you have good teachers, that they can make ideas come alive. And it often depends on the school. It depends on environment. It depends on home life. I mean, if your parents don't ever give you good food and they're watching TV and staring at their screens all the time, and they just say, there's the Fruit Loops, we might have some, we might not. And then you go to school and you have no food in you. Yeah, maybe you don't want to learn. I don't work in the public school system. I'll leave that to others who want to bring that up. But I'm not so quick to buy into the theory that all young people are somehow worse today inherently. I think it is what parents are doing. When a parent gives a cell phone to a child and says, have at it, I think that's abusive. It's negligent. Now, certainly a lot of parents say, oh, I know not to let them have access to this site and this site and this site. But guess what? Every day there are more websites coming up filled with violence, porn, pedophiles. You can't know in advance how to block every one of them. What you can do is say, go spend time outside playing. Read a book. Oh, you don't know what it's like to see someone read a book? You're the parent, read the book yourself in front of your kid. My daughter might not see me reading a book every day, but she knows that I do, because I'm often saying, okay, it's 8:00. I'm going to go upstairs and read my book. How about you reading Harry Potter? Sometimes we do it together. Certainly when she was younger, we would try to end every evening with me reading her a story. And that's on the parents. If you're not reading to your young child, that's on you. That's not on them. If your child says, don't read me a story, I'd rather watch more cartoons, or I'd rather watch more TikTok, no offense, TikTok, it's up to the parents to say, well, no, we're turning off screens now. It's the last hour of the night or the last 2 hours of the night. Let's, in fact, read a book. Let's make it the family reading hour. And I think reading an actual paper book is the best thing. For me, the second best thing, I use a Kindle where I only have books on it. I cannot access the internet and email and text and all that, so there are fewer distractions. I want to hop in and do another topic before we have to break, because we have to break off in just 9 minutes. So I want to, these are other topics that I have pulled from ChatGPT. Sometimes people email me questions. Sometimes they state them out loud. Sometimes they post them in text. I get questions related to communication skills from a variety of sources, and I try to pick the ones where I think they're interesting to the most people and where I have something unique and helpful to give back. So I posted a different prompt to ChatGPT today to get some different questions. And the first one I did, in fact, share with you. And I'm going to try to do another one. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go to camera 2, record. Are you harnessing the power of questions to help you connect with people and really communicate? Too often people just want to wait until they can say what they want. A thoughtful question that really shows someone, hey, I understand your point. I want to go deeper and have a deeper understanding. That's often the best way to connect with another human being. Okay. So a simple short form. I'm not sure I want to do a long form on that. I'd have to think about that a little longer. Sometimes I see a question posted and I think, oh, I could really talk for 10 minutes about that. It's hard for me to sum it up in 30 seconds. Other times I see something and I think, I could give a nice little nugget on that for 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds. I'm not sure I could expand beyond that without it sounding like I'm padding or being repetitive. So I try to pick and choose. And if I feel like I don't have a lot to say, then I'll just keep it short. Okay. By the way, QB, if you wanted to elaborate on you use some terms I'm just not familiar with. If you want to elaborate, maybe it is something I do have an opinion on, but I didn't hear from you. So I just want you to know I am here from you, and I do check comments on TikTok, on YouTube, Facebook. Those of you joining us on all the major platforms other than TikTok, I am seeing your comments typically aggregated through the StreamYard platform. And that's also the platform that allows us to connect, and you can come right on screen. If we were just on YouTube or just on Facebook, there's no easy way for me to instantly invite you on screen. And I want this to be more of a conversation. Moto List types in best viewers on some website. If you want to come and talk to me, I'm not one of these people that says, don't you dare ever promote anything else. But what I don't want is you trying to just spam us with something to take people away. It has nothing to do with communication skills. So Motor, you can either elaborate there as to why anyone would want to go there, or you can come on screen and talk to me about it. But again, the whole focus of this show, of this channel, is helping you become more successful in life by learning how to communicate more effectively and to have more confidence in your communication abilities, specifically spoken communication. We don't talk about writing because there are a million places in the world where people are there to teach you how to write. Your first grade teacher, your 12th grade teacher, your college master's thesis advisor. All these people are teaching you how to write more effectively. And yet, for the most part, no one's there to teach you how to speak effectively. We're trying to fill that gap. That's what I do. I'm TJ Walker, and I've been teaching people just like you around the globe for 40 years how to be a more effective speaker, presenter, talker, whether you're talking one on one, in the boardroom, small meetings, or to the news media. That's what I do. Element says, excellentissimo. Thank you. I do like that. And you like the live. I appreciate it. But if you don't mind, give me a little more feedback. What's excellent? Tell me what you've actually gotten out of today. And I want to practice what I preach, which is anytime someone gives you praise about any kind of speech, don't just say thanks. Ask them what you said that was valuable to them, because then you'll know the next time how to make that idea come alive to people. You'll know to put a spotlight on that, maybe repeat it more often when you're in front of other audiences. So that's why it's good to always ask people, if they give you a specific compliment, what actually worked. What did they like? As opposed to just a general positivity. And of course, we all like positive feedback. I won't kid you, I'm no different, but it's more meaningful if we can really pinpoint exactly what worked so we can do it more in the future. So please keep that in mind. If you do have questions or you want to come on screen and I don't get to you now, fear not, I will be back at 10:45 a.m. Eastern time. So it's just in an hour and 3 minutes. I'll be back here on YouTube and all the other platforms, and I'll be back with you on TikTok. So if I don't get to you, please realize I will be back. Typically, I'm here with you 9 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday. Thursdays are a little bit different, but we're here for almost 15 hours a week, which to my knowledge is more than anyone else in the world who is providing a live forum with a live communications consultant to help you become a better communicator. And there's absolutely no charge. Now, so why do I do that? Because sometimes people get some nugget here or some value and they think, well, let's bring TJ to our corporation, or let's bring him to our conference and have him conduct a workshop on presentation skills, or have him do a keynote speech on the power of communication. So that is what I do. Nothing unique there. Many, many thought leaders do this. The great Zig Ziglar always said, the more you give, the more you get. People asked him, why are you writing your books and charging $5 for it when you're charging $30,000 a speech or $50,000 for a consultation? And his response was, the more you give, the more you get. The more you give away for free, the more you get, which is why he would do media interviews, and why, a band like U2 or Paul McCartney to this day will still go on TV shows, perform for free, or technically they get the minimum fee for someone in the union, a couple $100 for the appearance. They're doing it because the more they put out their music, the more they put out their ideas, the more that comes back to them in terms of fans who want to pay top dollar, sometimes $6,000 for a seat at their concert. So that's the basic principle of, and how so many people work with the media and why they speak out. I am hoping that I can motivate at least some of you to go from just watching me or other people on TikTok and YouTube to putting your own face in front of the camera, to sharing your insights, your expertise with the world, because there's a lot of great people out there with great ideas that help people one-on-one, small groups. You could help more by sharing your ideas in social media. You don't have to do 3 hours a day. You don't have to publish 100 videos a month as I do. Maybe it's one 60-second video a month. Something beats nothing, and I'm hoping to motivate you to at least think about it today. Ideally, push record and push publish as well. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back right here on all of these channels at 10:45 a.m. Eastern time in the United States today, which is in 1 hour. And I'll be seeing all of my Udemy students, my other online course students, in about 15 minutes. See you then.